Hi guys, it is Tamara. Thank you so much for coming back to my channel. Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about emotional extortion, and this is a topic that I think can be pretty helpful to all of us to revisit. It's even helpful for me to kind of share it with you and go over it. It's a good reminder, and I think bringing these kind of topics out into the open can help us to guard against manipulative and controlling people who may try to use the tools of emotional extortion. So in today's video, I'm going to define what it is, and I'm also going to define what you're going to notice about someone engaging in the act of emotional extortion. And then on Wednesday, I'm going to share with you how to deal with it. So thank you so much for coming back to my channel for those who are subscribed. And for those who are new, I encourage you to hit the subscribe button so that you can stick around with us and become a part of our YouTube. Actually, it's kind of become like a YouTube family in a sense. You guys do a wonderful job supporting each other and giving tips and tools and suggesting information that can be helpful to each other on the YouTube page. So it really is like a family for some of you, and I'm glad about that. I'm glad that you feel at home. So for those of you who are new, I encourage you to come aboard with us and to learn a little bit about the YouTube validation that we have going here. So I welcome you. The benefits for you in today's video is that I'm going to be highlighting some of the behaviors that you are likely to see in someone who is using emotional extortion to dominate and manipulate you. So what is emotional extortion? Well, it's a term that can kind of sound a little psychobabble-y, okay? That's my new word. And you know, it actually can sound overly psychological, okay, for lack of a better way to describe this. But emotional extortion, if I bring it down to its basic level, is basically manipulation and blackmail. The whole idea behind emotional extortion is to take your feelings and your thoughts and manipulate and control them and skew them in such a way that you become almost like a victim, right? You become like prey to the manipulative individual who's using emotional extortion. So you're going to see in a little bit here why emotional extortion is something that can really take over your life. And as a matter of fact, emotional extortion may happen more so in families than in other relationships because you're closer. Family knows family, right? Rumors get tossed around, or, you know, things about you that friends and strangers would never know is something that family members know about you. So sometimes emotional extortion can be worse within families than it can in other relationships. But if you want to take this information and apply it to a relationship outside of your family, you can do that as well. So let's go ahead and jump in. So the first thing that you're going to notice about somebody who is engaging in emotional extortion is that they're going to get you wound up in emotionally imbalanced thoughts that will lead you to feeling shame and guilt. The moment you begin to feel shame and guilt is the moment they gain the power, okay? If you think about the powerful influence of shame and the control and dominance that it can have over your psyche and over your heart, you will begin to understand the powerful effect of using shame and guilt on an individual to gain power. It really is a powerful tool. When you're feeling shamed, or you're feeling guilt, or you're feeling some kind of emotion that makes you feel responsible for something, it really is hard for you to be objective, and it's hard for you to step out of that in your mind because you get caught up in this mental loop. It's hard to step out of that and say to yourself, okay, I know this is a lie. I know this is not true. Why am I allowing it to bother me? It's really easier said than done, okay? It's easier said than done to step outside of yourself to recognize that, okay, this shame and guilt is just being used against me to harm me. It really isn't that easy to do. And so people who are being emotionally abused, because emotional extortion is kind of like abuse, people who are being emotionally abused, they just take it. And then they drown in the guilt, and they drown in the shame. And they drown in these negative feelings of responsibility, and that's because it's really hard to step outside of them. So that's number one. That's the first thing that someone who's using emotional extortion on you does. They use shame and guilt against you. All right. The next is blackmail and games, okay? The more you tell a person about yourself, the more a person learns about you, or the more they learn about rumors circulating about you, the more power they have to blackmail you and to play mind games. People who utilize emotional extortion often tend to use blackmail to keep you stuck in this place of submission. If they can make you a subordinate, right? If they can make you submissive to them and bring you to a level of, total dependency upon their mercy, then they're winning the game, okay? A lot of people who use emotional extortion are also sociopaths and narcissists, and some individuals with borderline personality disorder. So people who are afraid of abandonment, people who have a hard time managing their emotions and regulating things. They really do sometimes utilize blackmail and mind games. It's easier, right? It's a great way to move the chess piece and to get things going in the way that they want it. So blackmail is easiest when the person knows a lot about you. That's why sometimes families utilize emotional extortion, and they're really good at it because, again, they know the most about you. Strangers or, friends or romantic relationships, they have to learn about you. And what they learn about you tends to happen on your watch, right? You offer that information to them. But within families, that's a little bit different because Aunt Niecy may go and run and tell Aunt Tiffany, and Aunt Tiffany is going to run and go tell Uncle Tom. And so, things circulate about you in the family. And so blackmail is a little bit easier that way. Mind games and keeping the score is also something that happens under the heading of blackmail. The individual may blackmail you, but then they also may play mind games and keep the score. They want to make sure that they're scoring points with you every time they do something to you. And again, if your self-esteem is up here and they can bump you down a peg and then bump you down another peg and then bump you down another peg, they're winning. And for them, they're making the score. They're doing the thing that they need to do to be able to dominate and control you. All right. The next one is threats. People who engage in emotional extortion, they know how to threaten you, whether that's a passive threat or an indirect threat. Okay. A passive threat is basically making a statement that may or may not include you. All right. It's kind of vague. It's kind of blurry, ambiguous. Now, a direct threat is, I'm going to come over your house tomorrow and do this, that, and the other. Okay. Either way you flip the coin, a threat is a threat, whether it's passive or indirect, and that's emotional extortion as well. If they can keep you on your toes, if they can keep you worrying about them, if they can keep you in the dark about what they're going to do next, they're gaining the power. That's the kind of power that stalkers, I did a video on this a couple months ago, someone put up here for you, but, kind of keeping you on your toes and keeping you uncertain is really what stalkers do. That's how they get you. That's how they gain control and they gain power, because they know how to, again, weaken your defenses. And if you don't know which angle they're coming from, they win. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay, so threats, whether indirect or direct, it's emotional extortion. The next one is going to be bringing up the past. Individuals who bring up the past, especially if you have a harsh past, if you've been incarcerated, if you've been a substance abuser, if you've been molested or raped, or if you have a history of some kind of trauma, bringing up your past, especially if you're still vulnerable to your past, takes your mind and brings it into the present moment, right? It's no longer in the past. Now you're going to end up re-experiencing it, and that's going to weaken your defenses. If they can get you to re-experience what broke you or what you're shamed about or embarrassed about, then they're gaining control over you again. So keep that in mind. Bringing up the past. Some people bring up the past just for the simple fact of knocking you down a few pegs, because again, if they can knock you down a few pegs, they have control. All right. The next is using finances against you. If you're in a relationship with your parent, your father, your cousin, your sister, your brother, your husband, your boyfriend, whatever, a good male friend, a good female friend, if they are helping you financially, just know that there's a possibility that they could use emotional extortion to manipulate you, and that they can use their financial support of you against you. I've had different people come into my practice here, and they'll say things like, I helped you. So let's say, there's a family arguing, and the grandmother may say, I've helped you raise your kids. I've bought this for you. I've bought that for you. I've bought this for you. And I loaned you money on this date. And I loaned you money for, that year and that year. And have I gotten paid back? No, you haven't paid me back any. So I don't appreciate how you're talking to me right now, because, and they'll go on and on and on. And that's emotional extortion. It's holding you hostage based on your circumstance, or holding you hostage using emotions and shame and guilt and blackmail and bringing up the past and using finances. Married couples go through this a lot as well. I'm going to divorce you because you neglect to pay the credit card bills on time. And so then that ends up turning into, the husband taking the role of power, or the role of authority, I should say, and just taking control of the finances completely. And that leaves the woman in the dark about, college funds and rent payments or mortgage payments, right? The husband is taking full control. So again, that's emotional extortion. All right. The next one is using their economic advantage against you. So if you have family members who, did a little bit better in life, they went to college, they went to law school, they went to medical school, they got their degree, they're certified out the wazoo, they married a police officer or an attorney, or they've been on television, they've become this popular, celebrity, so to speak, whatever the case may be, using an economical advantage against you is emotional extortion. Again, it's keeping you in a place of insubordination, and it's keeping you in a place of submission because their goal is to keep the score and to get over on you, to manipulate you, to control you. All right. And last but not least, he's asking about you in such a way that, you're doing most of the talking than they are. And that's usually what happens on first dates when you're dating a sociopath or a narcissist. They're asking questions about you in a very socially acceptable way. They don't sound like they're trying to manipulate you. They actually sound pretty cognizant, pretty on. But the reason they're asking you is not so much because they're interested, but more so because they want to use that information against you. So bringing you into their world little by little and asking you questions and getting you to talk to them about things that maybe you wouldn't talk to anybody about on a first date, or maybe you wouldn't talk to somebody about openly without processing first. If you find yourself kind of divulging information too fast, or they're pressuring you to tell them certain things, or they have a series or a multiplicity of questions, just keep in mind, just keep in the back of your mind that, okay, maybe they're trying to get me to a place of vulnerability so they can use blackmail, so that they can hold me hostage and accountable in ways that I don't need to be held accountable, or in ways that I don't need to be held hostage. Okay, so these are just a few things that abusers, emotional and psychological abusers, use. And this is basically the foundation of emotional extortion. It's something that takes your emotions and your thoughts and your feelings, and it just kind of holds you hostage. There's really nowhere for you to maneuver or get out, because that person has built so many walls around you just by knowing you, and that's the scary part. So on Wednesday, I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the things that you can do. I'm probably going to do about 6 things that you can do to protect yourself from somebody who's like this. So thank you so much for being with me today in this video. I encourage you to give it a thumbs up if it was helpful to you, and go ahead and hit that subscribe button and stick around with us. Let me know in the comment section below if you have experienced anything like this. I have to say that just about every case that I've had over the years in my practice and in other practices I've been a part of and other agencies, I have seen emotional extortion, and it is traumatizing. So we're going to keep talking about this a little bit at a time. And I think in January too, we're going to bring this up a little bit. And then in February, I'm going to go live again, and we're going to talk about this face to face, or at least live, so we can interact a little bit better than just in a video. All right, guys, so I will see you soon. I'll see you on Wednesday. Have a good rest of the week. Yeah.